indications. I've seen fish showing which suggest the fish have been in there eating it, but I haven't caught anything. If I'd had 2 or 3 bites a day, I'd probably put 4 kilos out. Because I've not caught anything, a couple of kilos and just a few tiger nuts over the top is just enough to refresh the area. And if they're not eating the boilies, hopefully they'll be eating the tigers. And how you spread it is really important as well. You see a lot of people, when they're baiting up with a boat, it all goes in one spot, you know, and there's a rod over there with no bait around it at all. And you'll see me really spreading it. So I've got a scoop and I'm spreading it the whole width of my swim. So it's wider than where I'm actually fishing. My rod's probably 5 or 6 foot wider. It's behind and not in front. So I've got no fish feeding over my line. It's all level with the float and behind it. And you'll see as well that I'll throw some out a lot further past the float. And what I'm trying to do is draw fish in from the middle of the lake. So I'll put a line at the back. Hopefully any fish moving about the back of my area, oh, there's a bait, there's a bait, there's a bait, draws them up into the area. They get confidence eating more and more bait, get to your rig before they get to your line, and bang, you've got them. And also the time of day that you bait up is absolutely key. Yesterday I left it far too late. I baited up just as Ali caught one. So obviously the fish were feeding and I went out there in the boat and baited up probably right on top of them. So today I've done it quite a bit earlier in the day, let the swim settle. I'm going to go and have the lovely barbecue that they do at Gigantica here, let the swim rest for a couple of hours, 3 casts back out against the clip and I'm fishing again. And the cardinal sin is don't go out in the boat at first light. Don't wind all your rods in and recast. Don't go out in the boat and bait up over the top of feeding fish. Let the morning feeding spell subside, wait until it all goes quiet and then do it, and then hopefully you won't scare away the fish that are already out there, because that is the time to get a bite on any lake. So that is baiting up with a boat. Think about how much you're putting in, think about when to put it in, and most of all, be safe. Well, they all went out perfectly, all within the kill zone. There's plenty of bait out there at the moment, and it is Big Fish Thursday. Historically, this lake has done lots of big fish on Thursday night, and to make it even better, it's full moon tonight, and the lake fishes really well on a full moon. There's definitely something in it. I don't know what it is, but the pull of the moon does affect the fish's movements, and they reckon that moon rise halfway through and moon set at the peak times, and it's about to be moon rise in 38 minutes. So you never know, I might get one before it gets dark, but if I don't, hopefully the moon man will shine on me and we'll have a big one to show you in the morning. Well, we promised you a carp and the moon man has provided us with a carp, and what a stunner it is. A fish called Wadka at 39 pounds. Not a massive fish for Gigantica, but in general terms a very, very big carp. And he came just on first light this morning on the right hand rod on the Match the Hatch hook bait, a hybrid slow sinker. So I'm changing all the rods to that, and we'll see what today brings. You will see throughout this fishing film and a lot of the stuff that we do on television that the members of Team Calder will be donning new fishing outfits. Calder have now moved into fishing clothing. We started off with t-shirts, did a few designs last year, they were extremely popular, and we've kept one of those in the range the whole time. That's the Carp and Bubbles one that runs down the side of the t-shirt. And then we've got new ones like this one, so you've got a nice motif of a carp there that's done in like a tattoo style, and you've got other bits down the back of it, and it basically says searching for the monster mirror. And that's all written in ancient Chinese writing. And then it will change to common and leather as well as the range expands. It comes in various different colours and various different sizes as well. The t-shirts from small right up to 3XL. So there's something for the long shanks and also the wide gapes. We're moving into trousers as well. These are the lightweight, quick dry rip stops. So these have got mosquito repellent in them as well. Obviously, if you get them wet when you're holding a fish, they dry out really, really quickly. It's really nice features on these, and they're shaped the same as your legs, so you can move around in them, crouch down by your rods, and they don't tighten up like a lot of the combats that you buy. And there's also a lined version of these. You'll see some of the guys wearing the lined versions. They've got fleece on the inside. They feel absolutely delightful. They're going to be really warm in the winter, and again, they're the same shape, so you don't feel like the Michelin man when you're walking around in them. There's going to be hoodies as well. We've got new caps in the range as well, and there's more and more stuff coming all the time. So keep an eye out in your local tackle shop for the new bits that are coming from Calder. pay a lot of attention to line lay and line camouflage, and I try and get as much of it on the bottom as humanly possible. And you'll see in previous films I would have been using fluorocarbon in this swim. It would have been drooped down off the rod tip, there'd be no weight on the bobbins, and the line would be on the bottom all the way out to where I'm fishing. The lake has changed, so I'm going to have to change my fishing style. So what I've basically done is gone from fluorocarbon to the tapered subline. That doesn't sink quite so fast, but the most important thing is it's fished much tighter than I would normally fish. And the reason for that is there's great big banks of weed coming up off the bottom. There's no point having the line running along the bottom, over the weed and back down the other side. You basically want it tight through mid-water, touching the top of the weed, and then hopefully dropping down onto your feeding area so the fish don't come into contact with the line. And the way I've done that, whack out to the spot, hit the clip and feel it down. If I cast it slightly right or left of where I want it, because of the depth of water, I can go in the opposite direction, plunge the tip under the water, and I'm sinking the line and also dragging the rig more on target as I do it. So if I cast too far right, I'll run over to the left of the swim, plunge the rod in, and it will drag the rig slightly left, and hopefully it'll end up on the mark. And then I'll carefully sink the rest of the line by holding it in the tips of my fingers. You can easily over tighten it and pull the lead out of position, and in this case maybe pull it into a bit of weed. So you've got to be so careful, get it all under the surface film, and then I'll put it on the rest and tighten it up, and basically the bobbin will be sitting right at the top, and you'll see the line creep round, creep round, creep round, so it's still through mid-water, and it eventually be pointing directly at where the lead is hit the bottom. Then I'll take the bobbin off, slacken off, and let that subline sink a little bit. And what I want, you've got a heavy bit at the end because that's where the thick leader element is. That will sink first, and you just pay more off, and hopefully you get a nice sort of shallow sort of curve, so it's along the bottom and then just coming up into the weed and then back up to the rod tip. And then the bobbin goes on, and you can notice here I've got the stows on with the smallest weight added to it, so there's just a little bit more tension on the line. We've had some real savage crosswinds during this session, and that extra bit of weight just stops the Delkims going off when they shouldn't. And the buzzers, my old faithful TXI Delkims, take these absolutely everywhere. I've got them on at the head and also on at the bivvy, so I've got cordless remote system, so if I'm asleep at night I'm straight out and onto the rod. And these are set up on plus, which basically means it takes less vibration to set them off, makes them even more sensitive, and I've got the sensitivity wound up to number 6, so as sensitive as they go. And as you can see, got a little bit of a crosswind, they're not going off at the moment, it's been absolutely hacking across here, and I've been getting no false bleeps at all. So let's imitate a bite on +6. That's it. That's as much as it goes. That's screwed up tight, that reel. If I really pulled, a little bit of line would come off. But can you see, as I'm holding it, the Delkim's still going off. And that's the vibration system. If you use a roller buzzer, that wouldn't happen. As soon as the line stopped rolling forwards, you wouldn't get any bleeps. But with Delkims, you carry on getting bleeps, and then bang, I'm straight out to the rod, wind down, and I'm into it. And if the wind dies down completely, I'd probably take the extra weight off the bobbins just to make the whole thing a little bit more sensitive. I like to fish a semi-slack line if I can. Obviously the weed stops me doing that completely, but if I can get it all draped down, I just feel happier that the fish can come into the swim and feed without touching the line. Everyone loads their barrow differently. I'm using the Mark 4S, which is a real big barrow. It's got a wheel that takes the shock out of it as you're going along and takes loads of kit. Now, first of all, I put my camera bag and everything in that pannion in there, just unzip that. All my waterproof clothing and stuff goes in there. My camera tripod, a little rake I've got, all the sort of stuff where I'm not going to go to very often, that goes in there first. And then my bed chair goes on legs at either end like that. That slots perfectly into that position, and then I basically build everything up on top of my bed chair. So I've got my cooking bag with all my food and everything goes on there, and then 4 of those tracker buckets fit perfectly next to that, and that covers up the top part of the bed chair. And then on the back of the barrow across here, I'll put my bed chair buddy, and then my unhooking mat goes on top of that, and I might throw a pair of boots and all that sort of thing in that little gap as well. I don't tend to use the stand that comes with it that your rods go on, because a lot of the time I've got 2 rod bags. I've got one with my marker rod and everything in it, and I've got my fishing rod one as well. And then my bivvy goes down the centre. So once it's fully loaded like that, I'll just check that it's nice and balanced. Water bottle goes right on the front. That gives it a little bit of extra weight over the wheel, and that's what makes these cart porters so good. All the weight is going over the wheel, so you're not lifting everything, it's basically balanced. So once it's all gone on, I've got a couple of guy ropes. The bungees go over the top like that. They're made for the job over the top of it. You could put a cover over the top of it as well. They do supply those, but I prefer to just get to me swim and then get it all unloaded. So that's that one. Daryl uses a completely different one to me. He uses the Mark II puncture proof. It's a smaller barrow and the puncture proof wheel is much thinner, so it cuts through the grass better. It's a little bit more unstable in the mud, but it does push along a lot easier. Now he loads his differently to me as well. He's still got the pannion in there and all his bank sticks, buzzer bars, his pegs, all that sort of stuff goes into that. And then on top of that, his bed chair goes on, but it goes on the other way round, so the legs are on the outside. He doesn't use these side bits on here. That reduces the weight as well, and basically his bed chair forms the space that all his kit goes on. He's got a big tracker barrow bag, that goes on the front, and then a bivvy goes down the side of that, and then he's got his cooking bit at the back and his unhooking mat in the remaining space. So basically he builds it up just like I do, but in a different configuration. And then on top of that, both his rods go on the top of there, straps go over, and he's off. And Daryl's known for fishing off his barrow. So basically, if he's chasing the fish around, he'll keep all his available stuff in that pannion, and then he'll just go round to a swim, won't set anything up, a couple of rods out, maybe get a bite, the fish have moved off somewhere else, round again on the barrow again. And he said the more loaded someone's barrow, the more I like it, because I can move around really quickly and get on the fish before the guys have even thought about packing up. Now, I've been quoted in the press of saying this is probably the best bit of tackle that's come out in the last 20 years, and I stand by that, because the amount of gear that you can put on one of these means that you can go to the swim in one go, you can move easily. How we used to carry it, I just will never know. Those are the barrows from Cart Porter. I wouldn't go fishing without one. Get in the net, get in the net. Yes! Have I got him, have I got him? Yes, get in! Come on! Well, how about that? I thought that was a bream, and it's not. It's a great big mirror carp, and it looks like one that hasn't been out for quite a while. That was proper hairy out there. Big old weed bed he was in. I really thought it was just going to be a bream popping up to the top, and it was a great big carp. Thank God I took the unhooking mat out with me. Right, let's get him in the sling, get him back in the water. And that was the problem. If you can see there, the light, look at all that weed. That's what the fish had got in. It was hairy, but we got him. Okay, zero the scales first of all. Slide him in. There we go. Okay, fins are all flat, tail's okay. Straight on the mat. If I lift him out, do you want to take the thing out of the way?
£60, isn't it?
I don't think so, no.
No?
No. It's definitely the twin though.
Yeah.
It's very flat along there.
It's definitely a monster.
Definitely a monster though, mate.
There we go.
Just think about your bonus next year, yeah, when you read it out.
Mate, I thought you've been in practice.
Come on,
I thought you were in practice.
come on.
60.
Yeah?
60. Hang on, man. 62 and a half, I'd say.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Get in! Yes!
How's that for
in,
your
brother.
bonus?
Oh, get in! Well, we promised you a monster from Gigantica, and here it is, 62.5 pounds, a fish called the Twin, one I dearly wanted to catch. And what a way to end our masterclass. Just want to say thank you so much to all the lakes that have let us film there, and thank you to all the fantastic anglers that have shared all their secrets to help you catch monsters like this. Get in.